Hello, boys and girls. Today we are on lesson 12.8 on page 741. Our focus today, problem solving, we're looking at classifying plane shapes. Sorry about that. All right. Our essential question, how can you use the strategy draw a diagram to classify plane shapes? Draw a diagram, all that means is drawing a picture. So how are we going to draw a picture to classify our plane shapes? Let's look at unlock the problem. And it says a Venn diagram shows how sets of things are related. In the Venn diagram at the right, one circle has shapes that are rectangles. That's this one right here. And one circle has shapes that are rhombuses. The shapes in the sections where both the circles overlap are both rectangles and rhombuses. Okay? So the big question then is, what type of quadrilateral is in both circles? So we can take a look at this. We have rectangles in this circle, and then in the other circle we have just rhombuses. So we have to know the definition of both of those things. So rectangles are quadrilaterals that have four right angles. That's a rectangle. Okay? A rhombus is a quadrilateral where all four sides are the exact same length. And that's it for a rhombus. Okay, so let's look at our strategy to solve this problem. The first thing is, what do I need to find? And you don't have to write it in here. You can just circle the question and draw an arrow. But the thing we have to find is, what type of quadrilateral is in both circles? Next thing, what information do I need to use? Well, we're going to use this information right here, rectangles and rhombuses. So we are looking at the circles labeled rectangles, R-E-C-T. I'm going to run out of room, but that's okay. A-N-G-L-E-S, labeled rectangles and rhombuses. And rhombuses is R-H-O-M-B-U-S-E-S. So we're going to use those two circles. And then how will I use the information? Well, we're looking at shapes. How would I say that? Shapes where the circles overlap. Where the circles, I need to write a little bit smaller maybe. Circles overlap. So we're looking for shapes where the circles overlap, meaning it's both a rectangle and a rhombus. Okay. So, solving the problem, what is true about all quadrilaterals? All quadrilaterals, if we can describe them by their sides and their angles, all quadrilaterals have four sides, and since they have four sides, they all have four angles. So that's a quadrilateral, four sides, four angles. Okay. Next question, which quadrilaterals always have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel? And we have three types of quadrilaterals that meet this criteria. So the two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. We have rectangles, we also have squares, and there's one more. Can you think of what it is? Rhombuses. Those three all have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Rectangles, squares, and rhombuses. The next question, which quadrilaterals always have four sides of equal length? So quadrilaterals that have four sides that are equal length are squares. They have four sides that are equal length. And the other one, rhombuses. They have four sides that are equal length. Whoops, sorry about that. Rhombuses. There we go. Squares and rhombuses have four sides that are equal lengths. And then the last question there, which quadrilaterals always have four right angles? Well, we have two. Four right angles in a quadrilateral. We have squares, and we have one more. Not rhombuses. Rhombuses don't have to have right angles, but rectangles do. So squares and rectangles always have four right angles. Squares and rectangles. Okay, let's get down to some more important information, thinking more about our two circles in the Venn diagram. The quadrilaterals in the section where the circles overlap always have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. Oh, sorry about that. Went to the next page. So they always have two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel in that area where they overlap. They also need to have four sides of equal length, and they also have to have four right angles. So what are the only shapes that are in the middle? Those are both squares. So down at the very bottom, squares are in both. They are in both circles. Okay. So squares are rectangles, squares are also rhombuses. Squares are kind of everything when it comes to quadrilaterals. All right, let's go to the next page. We'll try another problem. The Venn diagram shows the shapes Andrea used to make a picture. Where would the shape shown below be placed in that Venn diagram? Okay, so we have quadrilaterals, we have polygons with right angles. Those are our two categories. And then in the middle, we have quadrilaterals that have right angles. Okay. All right. So what do we need to find? Again, we don't have to rewrite the whole question, but we do need to circle the question, and that's what we need to find. Okay. What information do I need to use? Well, we're going to use the circles labeled quadrilaterals and polygons with right angles. So we're going to use quadrilaterals, and I'm going to abbreviate, and you may as well. We're going to use quadrilaterals and polygons with right angles. Those are the two things we're really paying attention to, especially when it comes to our shape that we're looking at. Okay, and then how will I use that information? We are going to just look at, and you don't have to write this down. We're going to look at the characteristics of our shape and see where it fits in this Venn diagram. Okay, so first thing I need to ask myself, is our shape a quadrilateral? Well, a quadrilateral is a polygon with four sides. Is our shape a polygon with four sides? Well, sure, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So it is a quadrilateral. Okay, so first thing, I'm just going to write, I'm thinking, is it a quadrilateral? I'm just going to write quadrilateral with a question mark. And yes, it is. So then the second thing I'm going to ask myself, does it have right angles? Because that's the second category in the Venn diagram. So does it have right angles? If we take a look up here, polygons with right angles. Well, let's look at our polygon. Does it have any right angles? I'm going to erase everything on it there. So I see, let me turn to a pen. Change to a pen, there we go. Right here, that's a right angle. That's also a right angle. So yes, it has two right angles actually. So right angles, yes, it has those two. Okay. So where would it go? Well, let's draw a little line. It goes right in the middle because it's one, a quadrilateral, and it also has right angles, so it goes in the middle. All right, question number 1. How many shapes do not have right angles? And we're going to use these shapes right up here. So let me erase some of this business so we can actually see some of the things up here. How many shapes do not have right angles? All right, so I'm going to circle the ones that do not. This one right here does not. Let me get my pen out again. That has no right angles. That has no right angles. That has no right angles. The 3 in the middle do, and of course everything over here does. So how many do not? It's those 3 that are quadrilaterals, but they're not in the middle. So we have 3 that are not, that don't have right angles. Okay. Question 2. How many red shapes have right angles, but are not quadrilaterals? So we have to look at, we can't use any that are quadrilaterals, so we're not thinking about any of these. Those are all quadrilaterals. We're not concerned with those. So we only have one red shape that's not a quadrilateral. So 1. All right. And what would be a different way to sort the shapes? Well, we could sort them lots of different ways. We could look at sorting them by parallel sides, and we could put parallel sides on one side over here. Like over here, we could put parallel sides, and on the other side, we could say no right angles, right? No right angles. So we could do something like that. There are a lot of different ways to sort these shapes. Okay? All right, so that's going to do it for our lesson today, boys and girls. Please do share and show. There are 4 questions on page 743. So do those problems on page 743. Bring it to me so I can check it, make sure you're on the right path. And if you are, then you can continue on to your assignment. As always, boys and girls, this is Mr. P, and I am out.